Well, hello. This is Tim Hayes, standing in for Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce. And this is Friday, March 7th, Aramaic Fridays, hopefully. This is Friday, the March 7th in the year 2014. We like to put that date post at the beginning of the shows for easy reference. And we're here to talk about the ancient Aramaic technology of forgiveness. We're here to talk about practical tools for improving the quality of one's life. We're here to talk about what we understand from ancient teachings to be our true nature as the energy of love, and what we've learned about how, as Dale Allen Hoffman has said, we need to be about the work of counter-conditioning. We need to acknowledge, to recognize fully how we have been conditioned in our cultures to pursue other people and things outside of us as the cause for any pain or sadness or fear that we experience, and thereby hide from ourselves the actual creative process that we are engaged in all day, every day, whether we like it or not. And that active creative process is how we create our experience of life in each moment. And we have been conditioned to believe we are not creators. We've been conditioned to believe we do not have the power to choose the focus of our conscious awareness in each moment and thereby create our experience of life. But the fact of the matter is, we are always doing that. It is always happening, and it is not a secret. We are always choosing exactly where we want to be. We are always choosing, by the choice of the focus of our conscious awareness, what we will experience in each moment. And ancient teachers knew this. And Yeshua, commonly known as Jesus, knew this. And the people who received the ancient Aramaic language knew far more about the human mind-body energy system than the greatest scholars on the planet today. And what they knew was, you were made of the energy of love, you come from the energy of love, you are the energy of love, and your sole purpose in life is to extend that love in every interaction with every person, place, and thing throughout your life. And in the act of being aware of your true nature and extending that true nature in every interaction, you get to experience your true nature as the energy of love, which the ancients tell us is the energy of the Creator. So, most of us have no idea how to achieve the state we're just talking about. We're fortunate enough at this point in time to have the work of Dr. Michael Ryce, who had access to the Khabor's manuscript, and translators taking what was known from the ancient Aramaic and trying to translate it directly into English without the distortions of going through the Greek language and the Greek culture and then the politics of various ages where people were more concerned about accumulating wealth and power than they were about actually communicating the truth of the teachings. And the knowledge that comes from that work is available for free on Dr. Ryce's website, thanks to the work of Jeanie, the tireless efforts of Jeanie and Dr. Michael Ryce. And the website is www.whyagain.org. And bless their hearts, they have made available for us on this website absolutely free. We don't even have to sign up for newsletters and give them our email address so that they can market more things to us. Simply go to that website, click on the bullseye, the red and white bullseye in the center of the page. It will take you to a page where you can download Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book. It will take you there where you can download the most recent version of the 7-step worksheet process, which is called the Reality Management Worksheet. And it lets you download at least 5 audio files of hour-long programs like this one you're listening to now, where Dr. Ryce and or Jeanie have stepped people through that process. Real people calling in the show with real problems, applying the tool of forgiveness, the reality management worksheet, and dismantling the energies, the realities within their own minds that are creating their pain, their fear, their sadness, their hurt, their guilt, their shame, and it's all there free. So this is a very specific set of practical tools available for free for you to apply to your life. And if you do, chances are you'll improve the quality of your life and relationships more than you can imagine right now. But we don't want anybody to believe that. We want people to go to the website, print off the material that's free, read the free material, pick up a pen, put it to the paper, analyze your thoughts about your life, ask to be shown a better way to look at your thoughts about your life and your experience, ask to be shown the hidden part of your mind that's actually creating your own pain, and we'll see for yourself what impact it has. So that's what we're here to promote, and we're also, as I mentioned earlier, we're in the middle of an entire year where Dale Allen Hoffman has said he would make himself available to be able to talk to us about the ancient Aramaic every Friday this year. And with any luck at all, I'm actually broadcasting, and someone is hearing it. And with any luck at all, Jeannie's on the website, and she's gotten a call from Dale Allen Hoffman, and he's available to start talking. So
I'm available to start talking.
Beautiful. Dale, welcome.
It's good to be here.
How are you, sir? How are you?
I'm phenomenal. I just this morning did 2 private sessions here in Raleigh. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, with Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship last night, today, and tomorrow, and just did a couple of private Still Point sessions that were incredibly profound for both participants. The stuff's awesome. I mean, the tools are awesome. Everything that you spoke of over the last few minutes, the key is putting it to work. I kind of said that last night I did an event last night for SFF here, and I told everybody, in the end, it's not really about anything that I'm going to be saying to you. It's about you actually having the direct experience of it and the realization of that. It's not about knowing about the stuff necessarily. It's not necessarily about understanding things. It's about actually living it and being it. And like you said, in terms of the worksheet, putting the pen to the paper, you can talk about it all you want, but if you're not actually doing it and living it, it's really not that important, is it?
Well, I haven't found that to be the case. If I talk about it, I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but my life doesn't change. But boy, over the past 10 years or so, as I've been actively applying these tools, there really aren't any words for how different my life is and my relationships and how much less drama and trauma there is. Well, Dale, you're here, hopefully, to enlighten us specifically about the ancient Aramaic, and I saw a message somewhere that somebody had asked you a specific question about a word, and you replied that the word was Kuba, but in order to give the meaning, they would have to tune into the show.
Yeah.
So you're not just a
Okay.
master of the ancient Aramaic, you're also a master of hooking people in marketing. So congratulations.
Well, it's because that sort of the writing little blips on Facebook, there's one of the things that's a challenge is I get lots and lots and lots of messages, and people will have, not so much in this case, but people will have lots of questions, and they'll have unending streams of questions, and they'll sort of try to be slick, and they'll send it to me in Hebrew, and I'll reply in Hebrew, or they'll send me something in Syriac, Aramaic, and I'll reply in Syriac, just trying to test me or something. And it's funny because, in a lot of cases, people just, it's endless streams of questions and questions and questions and questions. And it's funny that you can just keep answering the questions, and a lot of people just aren't willing to do the actual work. And this morning, though, the question that popped up was a little bit different. A friend of mine, Joy, who, if anybody's connected with me on Facebook, she's an incredible friend. She did these paintings of Anana, which is the Aramaic words, the eye within the eye, essentially. She did a couple of paintings, and she had one to give away last night as a prize, and I had no idea that she made a mirror image of it for me and gave it to me, and I was like, wow. But on that photo that was posted on Facebook that she posted on there, she posted a question about, I believe it was 1 John, was it 4:8, 1 John 4:8, which is that phrase that was in 1 John 4:8. It said essentially, if you don't know, or if you haven't come to know love, then you can't know God, because God is love. And it's a really good phrase. And that word, in both of those cases, the sound, well, in the first case, it's chuba, exactly, technically chuba. And in the second case there, it was mahub, which is another word. Mahub it's the same word, chuba, but what that must sound at the beginning means whole. It means whole or complete, the M. It also means water. Interesting. So it means like to have that sound, or that love coming from source. And there's actually a word, mahuba is also an Aramaic word that eventually made its way into Arabic as well. Huba is an interesting word, because there's about 17 arguably words for love in ancient Aramaic, depending on who you ask and when you ask them. The two words that Michael and I address the most are Rachma, technically Rahma, and Chuba. Rachma and Chuba is an easy way to say both. And it of course, you talk about love, people ask me, sometimes it'll be sort of snide in a gathering, and I just kind of smile and like, what is love? What is the meaning of life? And, of course, I wouldn't be so presumptuous as to try to put love into some sort of perfect definition. But what I can say is what Chuba and Rachma, the two different qualities of what we call love in English, essentially in that ancient mind, what love was, first of all, in order to kind of get a better grasp on the word love, you have to understand what the word God meant. God is such a problematic word. It comes from that Germanic word Gud, which means somehow this is better than that. But that word God in Aramaic is Allah. And what Allah means is absolute only being. Technically, if you break it down by its letters, Allah means one absolute only being that moves toward itself through breath within itself. And that's what Allah means. So it's something that's living, moving, and breathing within itself, and it's one singular being. And one of the things that I'm often saying in a lot of my work is if you don't understand that the ancient Aramaic word that Yeshua used for God, Allah, if you don't understand that word means absolute only being, meaning that God is all that exists, meaning that there's not God plus people plus earth plus animals plus multiverses plus awakened beings and unenlightened beings and the sun and solar systems. That's not it at all, but that everything as one single unity of being is what God meant. And it's such an intriguing phrase that if you don't know love, then you don't know God, because essentially in that Aramaic or the ancient mind, what love was resonating with the entirety of truth, the entirety of being in any particular moment in time. What that means is that right now, in this present moment, I'm allowing myself to be in harmony, to be in resonance with that divine force that we call rucha, that expansive, living, breathing, contracting force. And the more able in any present moment that I am to resonate with as much of that singular being as possible, that would be the measure of what we would call my love. So what that means is that, actually the way I would expand on that is differentiating between the two strongest words for love, the ones that Michael referenced a lot, which are Rachma and Chuba. Now, Rachma is an interesting word because Rachma is that word that shows up in the fifth beatitude, and it's so poorly translated as blessed are the merciful. It's just a horrible translation, and it doesn't mean it's wrong. just that word mercy is an English word that doesn't encapsulate what that word Rahma or Rahme means in that fifth beatitude. If you just break the sound Rahma down in Aramaic, the Ra sound, first of all, Ra, the Ra, the first sound is the Resh. And what Resh means, the letter Resh in Aramaic means head. Now, head means not just head as in the leading edge of something, as in the top of my head. It also means the center or the beginning of something. And that's why you hear the Alpha and the Omega, I am the beginning and the end. It's a way of saying that the beginning is the end. Yeshua said in the Gospel of Thomas, he said, blessed is the one who takes their place in the beginning, for they will know the end and they will not taste death. Because the head is the head, the end is the beginning is the end. And that Ra sound that comes from that head, the Ra means a shining forth of heat and light. And where does it come? That heat and light comes forth from the head, from the center. Not necessarily just the head on your body, although in terms of the crown chakra, that's it, the Christ chakra, as it was known in ancient times. But also the head as in the center point of your being, that deep place of stillness where you're one with everything. So you've got that shining forth of heat and light, and then in the middle of Rahma is the word hum, which was the old Hebrew word that meant, again, womb, or center point of being, or center point of body. It could be the womb. It could be, as you would say, the gut, like right around in either the center point of the physical body or literally the center point of the spiritual body. In other words, that deep, still place in the center. And then that last sound at the end of Rahma is ma. And that sound there, when you look at it with a letter, that word means source. It also means water. The mem, that letter mem means water, and it means source. Water is a source. And if you put that in relationship to whom, as in the womb, water makes perfect sense because, of course, what comes forth, in birth, in all birth, but water. And that ma sound that's at the end, of course, means mother. And ma is an interesting sound because it's in all of these languages all over the world. And even if it's not in the language, it's still the sound that most often comes from a child's mouth in relation to the maternal figure in their life, whether the ma sound is in that language or not. So just in that word Rahma, we've got a shining forth, a birthing forth from the center of heat, of light, of presence, and there's an open flowing water in that. And you think about that, you think about the word love, well, that's very interesting. Now, I'm going to come back to that word Rahma and look at it in a different perspective, but that huba word is an interesting word because the sound hub, that sound that we have of a chet and a beit, it's the sort of a KHB, you could say. What hub means is to create a spark. Like you take two rocks and you snap them together and you get a spark, or you have a couple of sticks and you're rubbing two sticks together. By having the oo sound in the middle, the oo sound is a word that means action. Very interesting. In other words, if you have chuba, not only are you, if it was either chuba or chabu is another form of the word, if that oo sound's there, it means not only are you creating a spark, but you're essentially fanning the flame. You're increasing that spark by fanning that flame. So there's two different aspects here of love. One is Rahma, and I love the way that it came through, that it comes through in Michael's work, because Rahma, the way he explains it, is Rahma is over intentions. It's a filter, essentially. And, of course, anyone that's been around Michael's work, we've got three different filters that he speaks of that are in the mind: love, hostility, and fear. I would also offer that hostility is, in fact, fear projected outward in some ways, and fear is, in a lot of respects, projected inward. Now, the other one is Rahma. So, in other words, love, hostility, or fear are choices in how you can perceive the world. Or your intentions, I should say. The difference between Kuba and Rahma in terms of love is that Rahma is over our intentions and Kuba is over our perceptions. In other words, what we perceive. And I wish Michael was on the call, but he has such a beautiful way of really unlocking that in the experiential set and putting the pen to the paper and living it. Because here it is, when you're looking at that phrase that Joy was asking about, the phrase in 1 John, essentially if you don't know love, then you don't know God, because God is love. That word that says God is love, that sound for is love right there is mahub. And what's interesting is that mah sound is again water. It means a flowing, and it also means source. So when you see that God is love, what that was really saying in Aramaic was that God is that flowing, that always flowing source, that flowing presence. And it's one of those things that when we're looking at it in terms of Rachma, Rachma is that area that Michael speaks of in intentions, in other words, what you're acting on in a lot of ways, you could say, and Kuba is over what you choose to perceive. And what Yeshua actually said in Aramaic was actually that when you have Rachma over intentions and Kuba over perceptions, he called that what was called perfect love. Now here's the thing, the word perfect doesn't exist in Aramaic. What that word perfect is mashalam, and what mashalam means is whole, all-embracing, and complete. So complete love is Rachma over intentions, the love that you have over your intentions, and Kuba is, of course, over perceptions. And there's so much more depth I can go into with that, such as, I know I've been sort of rattling on here, but when Yeshua says love your enemies, when he says love your enemies, that is achevu laboel bubaikun. And that chevu sound is chuba, again. Create the spark and fan the flame with that sound that comes after that for enemy. There's not really a word for enemy in ancient Aramaic. What laboel bubaikun means is literally to constrict your breath or to choke down. In other words, create the spark and fan the flame with any person that you lock your breath down when you are in their presence. Very interesting. Or create the spark and fan the flame in any situation or any experience you have where you stop breathing, because when you stop breathing, you lock down and healing cannot happen, which is why blasphemy against the Holy Spirit was the only unforgivable sin. That doesn't mean you're unforgiven forever. It means that if your breath is not moving, forgiveness is not possible. So that's the Kuba. And then to complete this with Rachma, in that fifth beatitude, what that was basically saying was, when you come from the source of your intentions, when you shine forth the heat and the love and the light from the center point, that water flowing source of your being, and you relate with someone from the source, from your center, you will awaken that experience within that person. So if I relate from my center, I awaken at least the potential for that person to have a relationship from their center. So it's like, it's not so much if you give mercy, you get mercy. That's cute, but it's not quite it. But rather, when I come from that center point of my being, I resonate that center point within the person that's in front of me, and they now have the opportunity to do the same. But here's the thing. If they've got lots of junk piled on top of their light and there's lots of bushel baskets on top of their candle, when I shake their Rachma loose and that Rachma opens up, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to throw their arms around me and kiss me. What it does mean is that anything that's piled on top in that moment is going to come flying out. And I need to hold the space from my center point. One of us needs to hold that space for the other, so that when the other essentially goes insane and loses their mind, I'm holding the intent of holding that love within myself through Rachma, and having all of my perceptions come through Kuba, that love in terms of my perceptions. So essentially what that line in 1 John 4 was saying was, when you can perceive love in everything, that's when you realize what God means, because God is that one source of love, which is everything at its core. So I know it's a kind of a really wide way of putting it across, but the great thing about radio shows is people can listen back over and over and over when I rattle off like that from so many different angles. There's so much depth and nuance to meaning to both of those words. It's miraculous. I often say it's not necessarily that Aramaic is a miracle language, but it's most definitely a language of miracles.
Wonderful. Well, I sure hope Joy was listening to get the answer to that. It comes to mind as you were talking about it and the way Michael talks about this. In my intro, I was talking about how this is really just about practical tools. And I like one of my favorite teachers is Guy Finley, and he says, there's nothing more practical than true spirituality. And to try and use some of what you just said, combining it with the way Michael talks about this, he says, Rachma is a filter in the frontal lobes of the brain over intention. And when that filter is set to Rachma, then only intentions keyed to love can be used as the building blocks for your goals. And Michael has a whole series of tools about understanding how we don't do any behavior unless we have a goal. We can have countless intentions and we can have countless ideas and preferences, but until we elevate one of them to the level of a goal, our mind doesn't show us how to do a behavior to make that start to happen. So when you say have Rachma and Kuba set and you're creating that state of perfect love, it means you simply cannot do a behavior that is not based in love. There's a real practical mechanism in the mind-body energy system that will not allow anything unloving to happen if Rachma is set. So, it's a delight to listen to you go on, and I'd like to take a chance to maybe have that happen again. Earlier today I was listening to one of the lectures by Guy Finley, and he talks about the line from Matthew where it says, seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things shall be added unto you. And he talked about how the basic translation for us today is we think if we seek first the kingdom, then we're going to get all this good stuff. And he offers a combination of several different sources to offer a translation to that says, instead of seek first the kingdom of heaven and all things shall be added unto you, he offers this translation. Love above all things the rule of the divine life, and all these things shall be placed in a passive position within you. So, love above all things the rule of the divine life and its completely equitable character. That's the part. The completely balanced character. And then all of these desires you have will be placed in a passive position within you. He says this isn't about acquiring things in the physical realm. It's about moving to a state where you love above all things the rule of the divine life of love, and everything else takes care of itself. Is there something from the ancient Aramaic you would offer us about that?
I got to say, too, I really do love Guy Finley's work because it makes all the sense in the world in that his heart flows through. And he understands that it's not about understanding, it's about standing under. It's about putting down the foundation and having the base and knowing that it's about where you're coming from. I believe that's like what Matthew 6:33, I believe, is the most sort of famous version of that one. In the Aramaic, well, if you put it sort of in the sort of layman's terms, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. It's an interesting thing because those words, Malkuta da Allah, kingdom of God, are two of the most grossly mistranslated, misunderstood words in the history of Christianity. And the idea that we have today is so foreign to the original meaning. That word kingdom in Greek is basileia, which is a feminine gendered term. That word in Aramaic is malkuta. The word for kingdom is malkuta. Ta genders that feminine. Now, what that means is feminine in terms of language, in terms of Aramaic, What feminine means is that it's a state of being. It's an experience. It's not a physical place or location. In other words, the kingdom is not something you can find. It's not a place that you go to after you die. That's something that came a much longer time after the life of Jesus. It's not a place you can get to. It's not a place you can find. It's not in the clouds. It's not on a mountain somewhere. But in fact, it's a state of being. That feminine means that it's a realization. Now, I often will see theologians, they'll translate the word basileia from Greek as reign, as in R-E-I-G-N. Is that the way you would spell it? Not reign, R-A-I-N. In other words, reign as in like a dominion or place of power. But unfortunately, that's not quite correct. What that word really means, and that includes basileia in the Greek and mokuta. If you look at mokuta in Aramaic, you've got mok, u, ta. You've got three basic sounds there. The ta is, of course, that's perception. That's the state of being. You've got the u sound in the middle, which is what I was speaking of earlier with kuba. It means action. Ta is feminine. It is essentially the perceptions, and the u is the intentions. It's what are you doing with it. So right here in the word mokuta, it's not a place, but in fact it's a perception and it's a state of being that literally lives through us, that acts through us. Now what's most amazing, even more so, besides the fact that it was translated kingdom, because men translated it, that's the reason, but the first sound there is mok. Mok or moch. Usually you don't hear the sound in mokuta, but the root there, that sort of MLK or MLKH sound, what that means, it has two meanings. The root of the word mokuta means essentially nowhere and now here. Interesting. It means something that has no actual physical location. It's not something located somewhere, but yet it's 100% fully present right here and right now. And that's right at the beginning of the word mokuta. So that kingdom is actually wholly, fully present in me, through me, right now, through my perceptions, through my intentions, through my actions, through my state of being. And I'm wholly and fully present right here in this moment. And the realization in that is, when I am 100% fully present right here, right now, exactly where I am in this moment in time, that is actually when time and space fall away, and I realize that I'm in fact one with everything. And when you hear added on to you, it doesn't mean added as in something that you're going to gain. What that actually means is a deeper aspect of realization. And I want to, before I really dig too much into that, I wanted to go back with Kingdom of God, Allah. Mokuta da Allah is an interesting, it's a very interesting phrase, because you've got that Mokuta, that feminine essence, that feminine state of being. You have that aspect that is perception, it's intention, it's perceptions, it's actions, and it's fully present, and at the same time, it's also not in any particular location. And what's beautiful about that is when you put the word Allah after it, Allah is, again, the absolute only being. So what Mokuta da Allah, one of the ways you can look at that is that it is a state of being that it's 100% fully present. It has no boundaries. It doesn't have a here or there, a positive or negative, masculine or feminine, but it's in fact 100% fully and completely present. And when we are 100% fully and completely present, that's when we realize that love aspect of Kuba and Rahma, it plays right in with it, because when we are wholly aware that when I am fully present in this moment, that I am one with everything that exists, and that one is what we call Allah or God, that there's nothing outside of the one, that's when we experience what true love actually is. And it's not even that we're getting anything added unto us when we reveal the kingdom, but rather it's exactly that. It's a revelation. It's a realization of what is already there. So it's like, in other words, like in the third beatitude, we don't inherit the earth. That word actually doesn't mean inherit. It means to turn back to something that's already there, or to realize something that's already there. So rather than being added unto us, we're actually realizing much deeper, a much greater depth of what this wholeness and what this oneness really means. Can you restate exactly what Guy said? Because I'd love to hear that another time, what he was saying about it.
Well, this is as close as I can get without replaying the audio, but he said, love above all things, the rule of divine life, and its completely equitable character. And all these things shall be placed in a passive position within you, or a passive condition within you. So all my desires will be satisfied because they'll be placed in a passive condition within me.
And that means open. Passive is an interesting, like that word, the word that was translated as added unto is metalspan, which is a really peculiar Aramaic word. Metalspan is a word that doesn't mean add. What it actually means is to increase or to expand or to open up. So when he says, when he's saying passive, essentially what that is when you let go of who you think you are in this moment, you let go of whatever your concept of self is, that's when the true reality of self can live through you, when you come into the realization, essentially, like the third beatitude, when you let go of everything you think you are, that's when you come into the realization that you are everything. You are, in fact, the earth. And it does take that passivity, and passive does not mean that I'm throwing my power out. It actually means that I'm letting go and I'm being open. So it's a really beautiful way, actually, to put it. And I never quite thought of the word passive there, but it's a really beautiful, and it's a very ripe, or in ancient Latin, mature way of looking at it. It's very beautiful. I love his work. I've got quite a few of his audios, and I listen to him a lot of times on the road. And it's great to just, it's kind of like with Eckhart Tolle. If you listen to Eckhart, you don't even really have to listen to what he's saying. You just connect in with the heart, and everything else just kind of flows from that. It's almost like it's not about the words, like I've been saying. It's about the state of being. It's about the love and the presence that's laced through those words.
Absolutely. I find the same thing. And that segment of interpretation from him comes from the Liberate Yourself CD set, and the fourth CD in that set. So, and of course, he has such a lovely way of telling stories. And I go back to what Michael says in his 4-hour audio CD, where he says, if you have a difficult or a deep new concept that you're trying to understand, the more different angles and perspectives from which you can view it, the easier you'll get in and the deeper you'll understand it. And that's why I frequently use stories from Guy Finley and chunks of interpretation like that, even though they're not literally directly from the ancient Aramaic into English. As you said, his understanding that it has to be an experienced actuality in order for it to change you guides all of his work. So
that's exactly it. It's like that Malkuta da Araha, that's a state of being that acts through us, that we're literally living from those perceptions. We're literally living as the one, the absolute, the only. We're living as God. And it's not about a location, it's not about a thing, it's about that realization of who we are at our deepest level when we peel back the layers. And that's why the forgiveness work is so important. It's not about adding something onto us in any way at all. It's actually about adding onto our understanding of it. It's a much different thing. We're not gaining something physical. It's just that our understanding, and I should say our vision or our realization of the depth and the gravity and the breadth of that is what increases and adds onto.
Well, and it's in line with what Jung said when he said there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes. Actually, that is my favorite quote of Jung's, is that exact quote.
And you
and
did
I can't hear it, not have the hair on my arm stand up. So
yeah, and you did a whole piece in one of your talks about this dynamic of darkness and light. You know, what is meant by darkness? Is there an evil force out there that's going to get me? Is there a boogeyman in the closet? What's the darkness? What's your understanding from the ancient Aramaic?
Well, darkness, hashuka, means essentially unconscious. It means I don't know what it is. It means I have not brought my awareness to it and processed it. It's literally, you want to know what darkness means? It's one of Michael's Aramaic forgiveness sheets sitting on a table with a pencil next to it, completely blank and not filled out. That's what darkness means to me. It means that we haven't gone there, and even if we may have the actual tool, we're not taking, if anyone is perceiving any kinds of crazy darkness in the world, and it's all over the place, and the thing is, our perception of it, the reason we perceive it is because what our job is to move in and bring the light into that darkness. It's like we don't walk into a dark room and try to push dark out. Well, you can do that. You probably look like some kind of a crazed lunatic, but you're not going to get much success out of going into a room with a snow shovel and a dark room and trying to push the darkness out, thinking that all of a sudden by pushing the darkness away, somehow it's going to light up. What you actually have to do is to turn on the light. And turn on the light means to bring it into our awareness. And that's the thing about that kingdom of God, the kingdom of the One, the kingdom of the only being. That means that all of those things that we thought were outside of ourselves that we didn't want to deal with, we actually have to find them in ourselves, and we do have to deal with them. We do have to grow up spiritually and take responsibility for our own realities that are in our own mind. There's this interesting, over the last 30, 35 years, sort of new agey, I'm okay, you're okay, that this idea that if I just deny that the darkness exists and think happy thoughts, that everything's okay. And that is actually what has created this strange, unacknowledged pink elephant in the room syndrome in a lot of these philosophies, and it's all over a lot of new thought as well, that somehow I'll just think about this in a positive, just like kind of paint this positive, sheeny shellac over the top, and now everything will be okay. When in fact what we need to do is open up and process those very things that we feel within ourselves or within our world around us that we feel somehow lack light. The only reason they lack light is because we haven't brought them into consciousness and we haven't brought light to them. And it's just an amazing thing that seems so obvious when you start to wake up, but when you're still sort of, bless their hearts, you know, if you're still shilling this happy, 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 you don't realize that happiness is a conditional thing, and when certain conditions are met, you feel happy. If those aren't met, you feel sad. But joy and happiness are not the same thing in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. Happiness is something conditional. Okay, I'm going to be happy. Okay, that's nice, but what about what you really feel? Joy is not something that you can add onto yourself like happy and say, okay, I'm going to be happy. Joy is actually the natural, empathetic expression when you remove these veils and bushel baskets off of the light. You do the forgiveness work. You remove the root of your suffering. You cancel all of these unacknowledged goals that you've piled up for decades and decades and decades in your life. And the more you remove, the more light shines through. That light is joy. The more of the burdens that you cancel and remove from your energy system, the more that joy can shine through. And that's why you see a child, and they're just wide open. When you're young enough and they haven't been programmed, they're just like my little girl, Shemaiah. She's almost 3. She's dancing around the room, and she just breaks into, we're in a restaurant, and all of a sudden I'll be walking back from the bathroom, and I hear, twinkle, twinkle, little star. And I come walking over, and she's standing on the seat with her hands up singing to the whole restaurant. That's joy. Now, if it was something as in she had a toy or something and her brother took the toy from her, if she gets the toy back, that's happiness. That's different. That's not joy. It's just certain conditions were met. She got what she wanted. The goal was fulfilled, so now she has her happiness. But in fact, joy is not the fulfillment of the goal. Joy is the natural state of our being. It is who we are at our essence. When we remove the veils, when we either, number one, and it's not about accomplishing the goals, but when we have all of these goals that we have set and we remove those from the system, we cancel them. And I'll say it 1,000 times over, I scream it from the hilltops in every event that I do. Nobody on this planet, in my opinion, understands that better than Michael. No one. And that includes people that repackage his work and put their own name on it. Bless their hearts. But if you don't understand the canceling of the goal, then you don't understand forgiveness. And joy is that natural glow. It's the natural essence of who we are. It's who we are at our source. We are that Rahma. We are that joy. We are that glory. We are that magnificence when we remove those layers and do the forgiveness work. And there's no way around it. There's no way around. You can't sort of skirt around the outside of the desert. You've got to go straight through it. And that's when we realize that, guess what? There was never really any desert to begin with. But if you're standing at the edge of the desert and pointing at it and say this desert isn't real, that's not doing the work. That's the carbon copy. And that's what happiness, that's where the happiness can come from. Happiness is nice. I like being happy. But I don't want to be happy at the expense of being joyous and being conscious and being awake and being balanced. And Jung understood it. Michael's got it. A few people get it. I believe J.M. really has it, and Guy Finley's really got it. Some of the guys like Ken Wilber, there's some people that really get that out there. It's not about becoming more of something. It's about realizing that you already are everything.
Fabulous. Well, I don't know if they can hear us, but maybe there's a caller who has a hand up.
Dr. Tim,
hi, Michelle.
Hey, hi.
Go ahead.
Hi, Dale. Yeah, we do have a caller with their hand up. Jeanie requested that I let you guys know that Michael had gone to the airport to pick up one of the intensive guests and probably hadn't gotten to a signal yet. So that is explaining his absence. So, yeah, we've got somebody with a hand up. It's area code 561. Jeannie's unmuted your mic and you're on the air.
Hi, my name is Rashida. Hello, Dale. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I just enjoyed, listening to Dale explain about the Rahma. I just want to just share how it's very similar to the Arabic language. When you talk about, I don't know how you said, like you said who, which is kind of the h sound. In Arabic, it's a Rahma with an H sound. It's a h sound. And the h, it has to do with hub, which is the love. And love, it's, more than sexual. It's really like you were describing it. And also it's related to the breath, which is like the wind.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, that's kind of what, for the Arabic language. And then the word Rahma or Rahim is also the womb. It's the womb
that's what I had said earlier. Yeah, I said that earlier.
Yeah. And the word
it's the old Hebrew word. Yeah, it's the old Hebrew word for the womb or the center of the body or the center point of being.
Yes, giving birth, like you were mentioning. And
that makes me think of I was going to say mahuba, which is an Aramaic word. It made its way into Arabic, and it means essentially that same thing. The one who submits. It's almost like within any conflict is the seeds of its overthrow. And it's like you allow yourself to just completely be wide open and let it basically tear you open. Yeah. Yeah,
mahbuba is like being in love and being the lover and the beloved, the divine. And that's kind of, that flow in the ocean of mercy. And you're right, when we translate the word, mercy it's like we call it like mercy, love. They have to be both together, connected, to really give the meaning to give it actually a justice and how it really, what it really means.
It's almost like, it's like mercy has become a power person thing. That I give you mercy. I'm your power person, and I have mercy on you. And that's such a guy thing. That's such a European idea. It's not. It's nothing to do with Semitism. Yeah.
Yeah, the Rahma, it's like it means that when you exist. I mean, you look at how much we have. We are in the world. We can breathe. We have the sun. We have food all over the place. All these things without even an effort. That's a symbol. That's a sign that we are loved, by the divine. I mean, we don't have to, work hard to enjoy all the blessings that we get, and that's, and that, you sleep, and then next day you wake up. I'm like, how does all these things happen? It's thanks to Rahma, the divine Rahma, So I'm so excited. I'm so excited about what you're doing. I don't know how I can join your efforts,
I feel sometimes like I just want to do backflips. I think the best way to join the efforts is just talk about it and express your heart. One of the things Michael and I have been talking about, something I've been talking about for a while, is how, because I keep getting messages from all over the world, people saying, how can you bring us together through the internet? And Michael and I have been talking about this for a while. How can we do that? And this radio show is part of that, is bringing people together. He's here, 5 or 6 days a week, however many days, and I'm here every Friday. And tell people about it and just get people on the calls and just keep talking about it and expressing it.
Yes. And that's one thing I'm doing, inviting people, and now we're going to start a group here in Boca. So I'm hoping all people who are in Florida, if they want to, join, I don't know if it's okay to give my phone number for people to call me, and we could, my house is open for the support group. We have, 2 people from West Palm Beach. They're interested. And I know there are a lot of people from South Florida that I hear sometimes on the call. Is it okay to leave my phone number? Or?
Sure. Ask him, I guess. Yeah,
it's 561-479-8626. And my name's Rashida. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Rashida.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Well, Michelle, is there anybody else with their hand up with a question with the last 5 or 6 minutes?
No, not right now. Jeanie said there's nobody with their hand up. She's we're working through Skype today, and she's letting me know what's going on, and right now it sounds kind of quiet.
Okay, so Dale, what's the current status of your projects, books, movies?
Hello there, guys. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes.
Hey, actually, just at the same moment, we had 3 hands go up at the exact same time. And this one, I think this is Rex, 517. You're on the air.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Dale. It is Rex.
Hello.
Absolutely awesome program. Just totally ready to go back and replay it again. So much information and just so many things popping as you're talking and Tim talking. So thank you. And Dale, I still haven't heard back from you yet. I was just reminding you. I wanted to make sure to mention that.
I'll do that right now as soon as I get off the call. I'll do that. Take care of
awesome.
that. So
I'd love
thank you
to
for reminding me again.
I feel so motivated to support your work as well. And so I just want to make sure you know that, and I'm going to stay with it until we get you in this area.
Thank you.
You bet. And also, I didn't mention yesterday, but briefly, I will be doing a workshop, Experiencing Pure Joy by Embracing Your Inner Child, and it's a workshop that's based in understanding the moment in time when we lost our awareness by giving it up to our Creator, and how that has influenced our whole lives, and breaking that down and opening it up and presenting it to healing. So that's going to be done in the Grand Rapids Unity in Michigan, and love to have anyone that would like to join us. And because you also have 2 other calls, I did want to mention that briefly. And again, just thank you for the profound work that you're doing. And Tim, you're just doing a marvelous job as well, filling in for Michael. And what an awesome team we have. And the lady who just spoke previously, she said, well, I'd love to be able to join. Well, she is. That just by doing the support group, that's huge. And just have her pick up a DVD and, go out and show it to people, and maybe even just start teaching it.
Yeah.
It's about taking action, Dale, and that's what you're doing, so you're representative of that. So thank you so very much, and blessings to everyone. I'll go back on mute and allow our next caller, see if we can get another caller in.
I wanted to say quickly, too, before we go to the next callers, I'm going to be in next weekend. It's next Sunday, which is the 16th. I'm going to be filling in for Richard Levy at Unity in Wilmington, and I'm going to be doing a talk, the Sunday talk, and then I'll be doing the Home and Emptiness Aramaic Beatitudes workshop. that afternoon. But I've also been getting a bunch of inquiries about doing a still point there, possibly on Saturday the 15th, which is next Saturday. If someone's interested in that, then you can contact me either through Facebook or at dale@daleallenhoffman.com. And if that turns into something, I'll let you know if anybody's out on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, because that'll be next weekend.
Dale, if you get to see Richard, tell him that we said hi. We were just talking about him the other night.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was just watching a talk of his the other day, and I mean, my head almost went through the ceiling in a beautiful way. He's just such an awesome. His personality, his consciousness is so wide open and beautiful and awesome, and I'm hoping that I will see him, and I think I am. I'm not sure yet.
That's cool. Well, we do have 2 more callers. We're down, though, to about 3 minutes, but the first one is 607. You're on the air.
Yeah, hey, it's Richard. I just want to comment on how much I enjoy the show, and I sort of had a little incident yesterday similar to what Rex had experienced in the prison. I was on a conference call and I had muted myself and forgot that I had muted myself, and I was trying to jump in the conversation, make my presence known to ask a question. And I started getting real frustrated because I felt they weren't hearing me and weren't listening to me. And then finally I realized that, I had muted myself, common error that you guys have. But anyway, I had to laugh at myself afterwards, because I was getting so frustrated and found out it was me all along that was keeping me from being made present. Anyway,
that's good.
I just thought I'd throw it in there that I had to laugh at myself because I had muted myself rather than. Anyway, just throw that in there.
Which is kind of what we all do that in our lives. We mute ourselves and then wonder why nobody's listening. So.
That's right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Richard. That's a great reminder that we're all doing it all to ourselves. And earlier it came to me that any time I'm triggered to anger or fear, and I'm experiencing myself as anything less than love, I'm doing it to myself. And anytime I'm experiencing that energy of love, I'm experiencing accurately you and me. Any last words? We've got about a minute left, Dale.
Just that, in terms of being involved, it's just doing the work, talking about it, and moving forward, that we're all connected in, tuning into the shows, telling people about it, and, making the example through our lives. Go on Michael's website, go on my website, check out all my YouTube videos, check out Michael's YouTube videos. One of the things I'm constantly saying to people is you got to read Why Again and you got to get the DVDs because you're going to get it on 2 different levels. And if you get a chance to see Michael live, do that. If you get the chance to come to one of my events, do that. It's just about living it and doing it. It all boils down to that. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but it's about actually putting it into practice.
Well, thank you, Dale, and thanks for being here. We look forward to talking to you again next Friday. And everybody have the best year yet of your eternal life.